Hi, my name is Maya, and I'm 30 years old. I've always been someone who loved to keep a smile on my face, even when life felt anything but joyful. Growing up in a small town with my two siblings and parents, I was taught that showing emotion was a sign of weakness. My mom always said, "Strong women don't cry," and my dad, though kind, had his own way of handling things. He preferred to deal with everything quietly and on his own. So, I learned to do the same. At the moment, I'm living in the city with my husband, Sam, and our little boy, Noah. I work as a marketing manager at a tech company, and my life seemed, at least on the outside, pretty perfect. I have a loving family, a stable job, and a roof over my head. But behind that picture-perfect image, I had been holding on to a lot more than I cared to admit. And that, I'm about to tell you, is where everything started to unravel. It all started when I got a call from my mother one morning. She sounded calm, but there was something in her voice that immediately made me feel uneasy. "Maya, your father's been acting strange lately," she said, her voice shaky. "He doesn't seem like himself. I'm worried, but I don't know how to talk to him." My heart sank. My father had always been the rock of our family. He never showed his vulnerabilities, never spoke about his feelings, but he was the one who kept us together. So, hearing that something was wrong with him left me in a state of disbelief. I tried to push the thought out of my mind and went about my day, but the weight of it lingered in the back of my head. Sam noticed it too. "Is everything okay?" he asked after dinner, glancing at me over his plate. I smiled. "Yeah, just a bit tired, that's all." But deep down, I knew I wasn't just tired. I was starting to feel something I hadn't felt in a long time, vulnerable. And I didn't know how to handle it. Over the next few days, things started to get worse. My father's behavior became more erratic. He wouldn't talk to anyone, including my mom. He'd shut himself in his room, refusing to engage with anyone, not even me when I tried to call. My mother was at her wit's end, and I could feel her pain through the phone. "I don't know what to do, Maya," she admitted one night. "Your father is a different person now. He's pushing us away." It hit me hard. I was 1,000 miles away, caught up in my own life, and all I wanted to do was be there for her and my dad. But I didn't know how. I wanted to go back, but work and life just made it feel impossible. It was like being torn in two. Meanwhile, at home, things weren't much better. Sam and I had been arguing more than usual. Small things that I would usually brush off started to feel like major problems. I could tell he was frustrated with me, but I couldn't bring myself to talk to him about what was going on. I didn't want him to think I was weak, or worse, that I couldn't handle things. One afternoon, I got a message from my mom. It was a photo of my dad lying on a hospital bed. I nearly dropped my phone when I saw it. He had collapsed, and they had taken him to the ER. My mom said the doctors were running tests, but she didn't know much more. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. For the first time, I felt the full weight of everything that had been building up. I could no longer ignore the fact that my father's health was in serious trouble. I needed to go to him. But how could I leave everything behind, my job, my family, my responsibilities? I stood frozen in my living room, staring at the photo. My hands trembled as I thought about my father's lifetime of strength and silence. How could I have been so blind? How had I let everything get this far without noticing the signs? And that's when it hit me, the truth I had been hiding from myself all along. I had been just like my father. I had learned to bottle everything up and pretend like nothing was wrong. I had hidden my feelings for so long, I couldn't even recognize them anymore. But there was still something worse. I had been so focused on my father, on his struggles, that I failed to see how much I had been pushing Sam away too. I had become distant, closed off, unable to share my fears with him. That night, after Noah was asleep, Sam sat down next to me on the couch. "Talk to me, Maya. You're shutting me out," he said, his voice soft but firm. I looked at him, my chest tightening. "I don't know what to say, Sam," I whispered. "I don't even know how to feel anymore. I'm so scared. My dad might not make it. I've been trying to keep everything together, but I don't know how much more I can take." Sam didn't say anything right away. He just pulled me into his arms and let me cry. For the first time in weeks, I let myself feel everything, the fear, the sadness, the frustration. I had been holding it all in for so long, I didn't realize how much I needed this moment of release. "I'm here for you, Maya," Sam said softly. "We'll get through this together. You don't have to hide anything from me." The following days were a blur. I rushed home to be with my parents, but my mind was still racing. I felt torn between my family, my husband, and my work. I was physically there for my mom, but emotionally, I was a mess. I couldn't focus, and I felt guilty for not being able to help more. Noah sensed the tension too. He was unusually quiet, and there were moments when I saw him staring at me with wide eyes, almost as if he could feel the weight I was carrying. I wondered, as I hugged him, if he would grow up to hide his own feelings the way I had. And then there was Sam. He had always been my rock, my support. But even now, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been neglecting him. I hadn't been the partner he deserved. I had been too caught up in trying to fix everything by myself, too afraid to show him how vulnerable I really was. I stayed with my parents for a week. My father's condition stabilized, but things were still uncertain. There was no telling what the future would hold. My mom was exhausted, and my dad was slowly beginning to open up, but the silence between them was still palpable. It was like they were both afraid to talk about what had been happening. When I returned home, things felt different. Sam and I hadn't talked about what had happened between us. I hadn't fully opened up to him, but I knew I needed to. I knew that if I kept hiding my feelings, I would lose the very people who were trying to help me. And yet, even now, I wasn't sure I was ready. I wasn't sure how to break free from the cycle of silence and pride that had kept me from truly connecting with others. The story of my father's health had no clear ending, just like mine. Maybe that's the point. Sometimes, the most difficult battles are the ones we fight within ourselves, and the hardest thing to do is admit that we need help. So, what do you think? Have you ever found yourself hiding your feelings, afraid of what might happen if you let them show? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, sometimes the most important step toward healing is simply acknowledging your emotions. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.